Hey, Damashe.
What's
No,
up,
I'm not
Mike?
going to start video. That's weird. Although I do need to look.
You know, we're not going to turn into a video podcast.
No.
I mean, everybody else is doing it.
No, that's a YouTube channel, not a video podcast. I have opinions about that. Only because I don't want to support him in Earshot.
Oh, man. I mean,
At least not right now.
I don't disagree with your perspective, but I would say that what Twit does as video is a video podcast because you get it over RSS feed.
I guess. Speaking of my perspective, go subscribe to our perspective. Just say.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Plus, see, it's like we knew what we were doing.
So, how's it going?
It's going, man. It is going.
That's the best explanation of this week is it is going.
Yeah, it is going.
Nothing good. Few bad things, just life.
just life, man. Things happening,
I pushed 99 today.
Cool. I will have to go check that out.
And I'd like your opinion on the update notes. So I don't know if you notice what I've been doing for the last 6 builds. And you might have to go look at the past builds to get caught up. See, I'm telling a story with this, and that story is going to be part of my marketing material when I push the podcast live.
Oh.
And it's all about a young lady who is using the podcast app. We'll just leave it at that. And if you're not on Test Flight, find me on Mastodon, and you can get on Test Flight so you can have a sneak peek into the early chapters of the story. And frankly, full transparency, Claude is writing the story for me. But what Claude has instructions to do now is when we're done working and it goes to push, it takes the information based on a character we created last week, and it applies that to the story with the previous context of the story that it reads. There's a file that is not committed to the repo in my docs/cache folder, cache.md file. KASHE, and it updates that. And then I'm going to eventually, when I go to release, I'm going to take that whole markdown document, which has each chapter in it, and I'm going to drop it into Claude and say, help me come up with some marketing material to promote this podcast app as it's grown.
Cool. So this is a fictional young lady using. Oh, I thought you had started a thing. I thought somebody was using the app and you're like, oh, hey, can we do this?
No, fictional person. But the latest build that I pushed gives it gives a picker on the right side when you're looking at your library that has like the alphabetical picker. I don't remember. Did you and I talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier today.
It's working. I'm not sure if I need to flip it around. So, open to feedback on that, like flick the opposite direction. If I recall right, and it's been a long afternoon, but if I recall right, I think you flick up to move forward in the alphabet and down to move backwards in the alphabet. If I recall, that's how I have it set up. But one of the cool features is, let's say you get to D for David, D for David. Then you have 2 podcasts in the library. It'll say D2 podcasts. And I'm curious if people think that's too verbose. The limited feedback I've gotten right now says that it's just the right level of verbosity. So yeah, any input is welcome. And if you are providing feedback, send it to feedback@technicallyworking.show. Don't leave me test flight feedback. I can't get back to you.
Yep. And you see a lot of developers put that in their test flight.
I'm going to add a contact link soon because, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if you can do that.
I can add a contact in the settings.
I mean, you got to. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
You mean in the settings of the app.
Yep. And then Cash is going to tell you guys to go look in the settings because she got frustrated with the app crashing on her. So she is glad that now the app developer has added settings. And here are the things you can test.
So, yeah, but a lot of developers put in their test flight release notes, please send feedback to whatever address they want you to use or do feedback here because I can't reply to test flight feedback is great, but I can't reply to you.
Yeah.
I have no way to tell you anything unless they shout you out in the next release notes.
like update from build 84 to 99.
Yeah, because that might help resolve some issues if you're on the latest version.
So if you're running build 84 and you submitted feedback and you're listening to the podcast, that's a lot of ands. Update to build 99 and let me know if your issue is resolved.
Your issue is resolved. And thank you for listening if you are that person.
Yes.
And for testing the podcast out.
Our numbers are slightly skewed because I know at least one, maybe two testers that when they delete their app, we need to talk about database. When they delete the app or they need to go subscribe to a podcast, they go subscribe to Technically Working. And I yelled at one of them yesterday, like, please stop skewing my numbers.
No, don't discourage this behavior. I mean, it does skew the numbers, but we always have to account for slight skews anyway.
Yeah, AI is real.
AI is real. Some people have this podcast app on their phone and that podcast app on their iPad or whatever. So, like, there's that thing. But don't discourage people from using our podcast as a, hey, I need to test to make sure that this works sort of thing. Like, no, absolutely use it. Don't listen to him.
So I broke the database on the app. And this is one of those interesting things that I think is important and maybe could be reflected as too much testing in some cases. So I could not, for the life of me, replicate an issue that people were having. I was getting some reports on Mastodon and I was getting some feedback on Discord and some other places that I hang out. And
Just
people are like,
inbox thing?
No, this is my app is opening and then it's just spinning and then eventually it says something went wrong. Did you ever have that?
No, I haven't had that.
Okay. You haven't been using it then for the last couple of builds, I think. Or you recently removed it. Because what was happening was when I did a database migration from version 11 to 12 of the database, something got messed up. I don't know where. I don't know how. Well, I know how it got messed up, but I don't know where or why it got messed up. I know what needed to be fixed. But I was not encountering this because it was only an issue if your database was upgraded. And I was using the app so much that I was deleting the app, and reinstalling it and installing over Flutter run -- release on terminal on the Mac and building it locally on my phone and then installing from test flight, etc. So to my phone, it looked like it was just a brand new install and there was no issues. So the other night we were hanging out on Discord and someone was like, what if I delete the app? I'm like, try it. Like, go ahead. They deleted it. They reinstalled it, hit skip on the startup wizard, the introduction tutorial thing, and they were able to use the app just fine. And so I went back. If you did not know, you can go back and install earlier builds of the app. So I went back to build 88 and I installed that. And then I went to build 95, which is where I knew, like, people started reporting it breaking, and I was able to purposely break my database at that point. And to me, that was the key, to be able to solve that problem. And then I did the upgrade to 96. And now if there is any changes to the database well, first of all, it doesn't just sit there and spin and go, something went wrong if there's an error, because that doesn't provide you any information about what's going on. So if there's an issue with the database, it will pop up and offer you the ability to delete your setup. And you can either choose to do that or reach out to me and say, hey, this isn't working, and we can get it fixed. But that's part of being in beta, and I appreciate people's patience. At first, I'm like, oh no, I broke everyone's databases and I broke everything. But again, they're testing out like alpha beta software. Like,
I mean, man, you have wiped out my podcast subscriptions a couple of times. You wiped out my inbox configuration a few times, but it's beta. So, like, I'm not, pissed. I mean, sometimes I get irritated. I'm like, man, I don't feel like setting this up again. I got 274 things in my inbox. I'm going to Overcast and listen to this show.
Now, I will say that I got one feature. Well, the inbox is fixed. So that's pulling the latest episode. And then the other feature that I got that I think also sets this app apart from others is you can go to settings and then playback or play rate. And then you can set a default play rate and all podcasts will play at that play rate. But let's say you're listening to DTNS and you're like, I don't need to hear this at 1.5x. I'd like to hear it at 2.10x. If you change the speed while an episode is playing, then it'll go back to 1.5 or whatever you set your default to after that episode is done. And then when that podcast comes back on, it goes back to the 2.10x speed without you having to check any boxes or anything. And to me, I that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, that is a cool feature. It's a cool
or like
feature.
if I'm listening to audio fiction, I want to listen to it less than 1.5, maybe 1.1x or something. So,
Or, yeah, I usually do like 1.3.
yeah. I don't do 1x. Not a barbarian.
The funny thing about listening to a podcast at 1x, which I have experienced a few times in Earshot, because for a while it would just reset back to whatever, they reset back to 1x every time you started a new show, is I'm like, they're talking really slow. But I'm like, maybe that is how people actually talk. And I just happen to talk really fast. And I should slow down a little bit or something.
Nah.
But it sounds much more like a natural conversation when it's at like 1.4, 1.5. It sounds like natural for most people.
Yep.
It sounds like this is the natural flow of a conversation. Whereas 1x, I honestly, and I mean, I'm probably wrong. But I feel like 1x is actually slower than natural human speech. Like, I don't feel like I'm talking that slow. But listen, you're in Club Twit, so go just grab a Twit episode. Listen to it, set it to 1x for a second, and listen to Leo talk for a couple of minutes. Like, and you'll get like, there's no way he actually talks that slow.
I don't get it. Like, I try to listen to Double Tap at 1x, and it's worse when you're recording with people at 1x.
Yeah, Double Tap is, but I don't feel like
they talk that slow when you're recording.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
so do you think podcast apps slow people down at 1x?
I don't know. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out is I feel like people talk very, very slower than, and I know for some professional level people who have had, radio, been on the radio, things like that, you learn to speak in a certain type of cadence and all of that, right? Mm. But even with those individuals, and we've recorded with one of those individuals for several hours at one time, and I don't feel like they talk that slow. I don't feel like listening to the show when I was editing those particular episodes at 1x, for example, was actually how, like, they weren't talking as slow as I feel like 1x makes people sound. But it could just be a perception thing, or it could be that I'm just used to, my brain is in a different mode when I'm editing, which I don't necessarily listen at 1x, but sometimes if I'm trying to figure out like, hey, what did I just hear there? I'll knock it back to 1x speed so I hear it at its natural rate that it was recorded. To like, what is that little sound I hear back there? Oh, I think Mike put his cup down or something. Let me cut that out. Or who is that making that noise? Is that me or is that Mike? Or is like, let me fix that. And then I'll speed it back up a little bit just so I can, go through because it's a little quicker. But I don't feel like, and we're talking about Steven for people. Like, we're not trying to obfuscate the person we're talking about. I'm talking about Steven in this particular instance. I don't feel like he talks as slow as what it sounds like he is talking at if I listen to Double Tap at 1x in any podcast player. But it could be a perception thing different from me editing versus me being a passive listener. And maybe my brain is just trained that when you're in a podcast app as a passive listener, you expect the conversation to be a little faster. But 1.5x is like, to me, that's normal. Like that's closer to, it may not be exactly, but to me that feels and sounds closer to what an individual would actually talk like in a normal conversation. Now you get to 2x, obviously that's ridiculous.
And if you download Earshot, you can go all the way up to 5x.
Yeah, so the show just goes. Bloop.
Yep, pretty much.
Especially if it's like the Ride Home Tech Meme podcast. Like
that's one of the I'm going to write that one down right now because that is one of the podcasts I have lost in my podcast adventures.
I don't think I ever listened to it.
Really? It's like an 18-minute. I used to listen to it all the time when I was coming home, like when I rode the bus. The
when you were coming home, so you were riding home. So you see, I'm never riding home. So like, I don't want to.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So speaking of things that are actually going on, if people are interested, or if you're shopping around, whether it's shopping for yourself, shopping for a Father's Day gift, birthday, or just because, or because the things are on sale. Here are a few things on sale that you may want to check out. This is not an ad. We're not paid to say any of this. I'm just sharing because, number one, like, it's a really good price. You can get the AirPods Pro 3 right now on Amazon, I want to say Best Buy, and possibly Walmart for $179, which is the cheapest I have ever seen AirPods Pro of any sort when they were the current model being sold. So if anybody's looking for AirPod Pro 3s, you can check out Amazon and grab your pair. They also have the AirPods 4 on sale for $99. If you're interested in those. There's some other stuff on sale too, but I don't remember what it is. Oh, Apple Watch 11 is currently on sale for $299 for the 42 millimeter GPS only model.
I don't need one. I have the Ultra 1, I think. I'm good with that one.
Oh, you're gonna have to upgrade, man, if you want the new
am I?
AI stuff. Yeah, I still have not watched the keynote, so I don't know exactly. People have been making reference to the fact that there are certain devices that aren't going to get certain features with the AI stuff, and I'm assuming it's local capabilities are not going to be there. I can give you a quick list of the devices. So you're going to need to be on an M3 Pro or better MacBook.
Wow.
You're going to need to be on a M4 or better iPad. You're going to need to be, I believe, because nobody's actually pinned the watch other than people being pissed that their Ultra 1s aren't going to get it. So I'm going to say, I don't know for sure, but let's just, based off those numbers, probably the Ultra 3 and the 11 for watch stuff. And they ain't talking about TV as far as I know, so I have no idea. No. Oh, iPhone. You're only going to get these features on the 17 Pro.
Which makes me wonder what Apple has in their back pocket for September.
I think the reason that we're seeing those cutoffs, and this is not Apple intelligence or Siri intelligence in general, it's just certain capabilities locally. And I think it's just because of the RAM and processor that are being run. So I think that is the reason for those particular devices being clipped the way that they are. They are pushing iOS 27 and iPadOS. If your device can run iOS or iPadOS 26, it'll run 27. So you're not getting cut off the upgrade wagon. You're just not going to get all of the local capabilities, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say, actually, I was about to say I'm somewhat surprised that they didn't plan better for that. But, when the M1 and M2 were coming out, Apple wasn't even paying attention to AI. So that could explain why the cutoffs are where they're at. Yeah, I'm curious what they have coming. Do we have this conversation? Go ahead.
We talked about WWDC. We didn't really talk about our predictions for the future in hardware.
We didn't talk about that. I just want to point out though that I was right, and so everybody else, because listen, I haven't watched it, but everybody has been like, it was weird. And the reason it was weird is because they didn't come out and talk about, here's iOS and here's iPad and here's Mac.
Nope.
Here's what 27 is getting. Okay. They just didn't call it Apple OS. That's the only thing I don't have right. They're doing the thing I said they were doing.
Yeah. So there's been references, apparently, And
So hashtag technically working, hashtag Damashe was right is what you need to be posting on Mastodon is all I'm saying.
Yeah, and tag all the fancy Apple people so they know that Damashe was right. So I am running beta. I'm not going to talk about beta.
You're still on X.
Well, that would imply you. Are you on beta?
No.
Okay.
I said those assholes are still on X.
Oh. Yeah, they are. Why are you not on beta? Come to beta. It's all beautiful. It's great. It doesn't mess up at all.
Yeah. So when you call people from a VoIP app instead of your phone.
Yeah, I want to talk about it. Anyways. Now
you got to FaceTime everybody or WhatsApp audio call people now because you can't rely on
Now, here's the weird
working.
thing. It's working just fine now. It was just that one call to you yesterday. Don't know what happened. Anyways, there's been reference to touch code for touch in macOS. Have you seen this?
I've heard people mention it.
Yeah. So my thought is,
we did we not talk about this? I feel like we talked about this on this. We talked about this.
Did we?
At some point, didn't we?
I don't remember. If we talked about it, send us an email feedback.
Well, hold on. We didn't have the conversation we're about to have, but I feel like I threw out a couple of wild ass ideas, and it may or may not have been on the show. But you tell me if this sounds familiar. They're gonna stomp on everybody that's like, oh, this new MacBook Pro with touch is gonna be expensive and it's gonna have an OLED screen.
That was not on the show.
Okay, but we did have that conversation.
Yes.
Okay, so just make sure I'm not crazy. I'm like, we had to. I didn't think it was on the show now that I think about it, but okay. Yeah. So we're going to scrub all of that then, and then just start from what you were about to say, and then I will get that little bit in about how I think Apple's going to piss on everybody.
Well, I think I'm going there a little bit too, and you can play off of it. So here we go. So there's reference to touch in macOS, and my mind went to, you know how they keep talking about this foldable phone that's coming out in the near future? What if Apple's not making a foldable phone and they're just making a MacBook that has touch support in macOS?
I think we're getting a folding phone.
I just want a MacBook with cellular.
I mean, that's all I want. I mean, listen,
I've said it on a couple of podcasts. If Apple released a MacBook with cellular, I would buy 2 of them.
That is an instant buy for me. Like,
yep.
That is an instant. I gotta go buy that as soon as I can make it happen. Like, if I can make it happen the day they announce it, like, you can go order it now. I will be in the Apple Store app. Like, yep, let me get that with these settings and that configuration. Like, oh my God, it's $17,000. I'm taking out a mortgage or something. Well, second mortgage on the house, but
on a house I don't own.
I mean, I mostly own a house in Georgia.
Well, yeah, true. But let me ask you the same question someone asked me when I gave them that answer. Why not an iPad? An iPad's like a Mac with cellular.
No, it's not. Like, if that's what they said, they're wrong. Like, absolutely wrong.
They did not say those exact words.
Okay. But they were implying.
But it was highly implied.
No, an iPad is not like a Mac.
To me, it was audio apps that you can't do on iPad.
Well, there's a ton of stuff you can't do on the iPad that you can do on the Mac. Like, the Mac is more open. I can install software from anywhere I want to on the Mac. I don't have to go through Apple Store. That is one major difference. I have command line tools that, yes, you can run some stuff in these little terminal emulators like Prompt and it used to be called Shellfish. It's called something else now. You can do some of those, but they don't have access to your system. I can go into terminal right now and type a command and have it act on files or folders.
Yep. I can go delete all my files right now with one command, and you know what? It'll do it. It'll complain, but it'll delete.
It'll ask you like 3 times, are you really sure that you want to do this?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not. It's probably actually not going to ask you.
It might ask you once. It might ask you once.
It might ask you once.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's just going to recursively start deleting your crap. So, yeah, that's one thing. I can see where some people, and visually for some people, and depending on what you do, right? Let's be clear about that. I don't want to, because I'm not an iPad hater. I'm not an iPad lover in the sense that it's the device for me, because I keep trying the iPad and it keeps not sticking. For several reasons, but I love that the iPad exists. And for some people, the iPad is that MacBook for them. It's that thing, right? And that's great. That's awesome. I love that exists. But I want a Mac, and I want a Mac with cellular so I don't have to tether to stuff, because tethering is fragile. I don't care what anybody says. I open my laptop, I'm on the road, I got connected to my hotspot, somebody calls me. Guess what? I don't have internet anymore.
Yep.
And it doesn't automatically reconnect when you get off the phone call. Like, no, now you got to go reconnect again. It's like I was in the middle of filling out a form. So I got to start all over. Are you sure you want to resubmit this data? There's no data to resubmit because you dropped the connection. You know, there's those issues. Here's where I think we could be headed with the Mac. And you know, the rumors that Gurman and probably a few other people may have gotten a hold to, but I think Gurman is the first one to actually, Mark Gurman from Bloomberg has actually put this out there first, is that we're going to get a touchscreen MacBook. It's going to be a MacBook Pro. It's going to have an OLED screen. It's going to be touch. It's going to be running the M6. And it's going to be terribly expensive. So in his view of this, or the information that he has, his expectations are that we would still get the MacBook Pro, just a regular MacBook Pro with the M6 chip, which I still don't understand why Apple keeps doing that. But we'll get the M6 Pro, the M6 MacBook Pro. We will have an M6 Pro MacBook Pro, or M6 Max MacBook Pro, and those will just be kind of your standard, you know, MacBook Pros that we have now, just bump with the new chip. And then there would be the MacBook. You said Ultra may have been what he called it. I still think Ultra is a stupid name, but Apple would probably do it. That will probably still. He hasn't been clear about this. I'm not clear on what I think about this either. But there will be this higher tier MacBook Pro that would cost more money, that would still offer the M6 chips, you know, probably the M6 Pro and M6 Max configurations, possibly both screen sizes, and it will be touch, but it will be significantly more expensive. So let's say your starting cost for a M6 Pro 16-inch MacBook Pro, let's I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but let's say the starting price for one of those right now, base configuration, would be $2,500. This touch MacBook Pro would probably start at $3,200 or something like that, right? It's going to be significantly more expensive. That's his guess. That's what's being put out there, right? I don't know people familiar with the matter or none of that. That is one possibility. There's another possibility that I haven't heard anybody else put out there in the world yet. And it just could be wild. It could be as wild as Apple's going to merge all their operating systems and call it Core OS. It could be as wild as that idea. But we have a MacBook Neo that is running what is it, an A18 Pro chip? Yeah, because it's running the Pro chip from last year's phones. It's not running the 19 Pro, which is currently in the phone that you have. So running an A18 Pro. It's a MacBook. It's a whole MacBook running on an iPhone chip, basically. It's not even running on an iPad chip. It's running on an iPhone chip. Inside of a laptop case. Like, this is a thing that exists in the world. You can buy one right now for $600. Although I would spend the extra $100 to get Touch ID. But you can buy this right now. What if, instead of, we're going to make this super expensive, high-end OLED MacBook Pro that's going to cost a ridiculous amount of money, that's going to have touch? What if it's a new MacBook Neo? And guess what? Instead of it being just stuck together as a laptop, well, hey, you can take the screen off the keyboard. And now you just got a tablet and it's touch Mac OS. But then you put it back on the keyboard and now you got your keyboard case. Very similar to the way that you can do with the iPad now. You can buy the iPad just naked, but you can also buy a keyboard case from Apple that they would love for you to buy over everybody else's. And you get a very nice, their keyboard case is really nice. It's goofy expensive. And I don't like the external material of it, but it's a very nice keyboard. I could see something like that happening. And I don't think we would get this weird cross OS situation where, like, when it's connected to the keyboard, it's a Mac, but when you take it off the keyboard, it converts to iPad OS. I don't think we're going to get anything as foolish as that. That's like, connecting a toaster to your fridge. Like, I don't know how you do that. Just have it be a touchscreen Mac when it's in your hands. Uh, I could see that being a thing. And maybe it's just a tablet. Like maybe it's just a tablet with an optional keyboard. Although I could more see Apple pushing this as potentially a keyboard screen combination. I could be absolutely wrong about this. Let's be
Right.
clear. Like, I could be wrong. But I see this as a potential device. And the reason is because you think about, well, the Neo has everything that basically it has almost all the things that you want in a MacBook, except it didn't come with cellular. Because again, if they'd have made that with cellular, I would have went and bought one, like right away. Wouldn't have been happy with Apple about it, but I'd have bought it. But I think, and it may not be MacBook Neo prices, right? They may call it something else, but I could absolutely see Apple just stomping on the world and being like, hey, yep, you know what we're going to announce. Yep, we got the thing. What's my guy's name? Well, actually, he'll be the CEO at that point, so maybe he won't be doing the introduction. But you see one of the Apple guys coming up and being like, yeah, we got the thing. People have been hearing about this. People have been saying, Mac OS, the touch targets have gotten bigger over the years. It's like, the things on the screen have gotten bigger. It's like you want us to touch Mac OS. You're going to be able to touch Mac OS. And guess what? Anybody can touch Mac OS because this costs $700. It's the new MacBook Neo.
I think I like where your brain is going, but I also think that AI is going to prevent that from happening. At least, I mean, maybe $799.
Why would AI prevent that from happening?
Because of the price of RAM and storage now.
Yeah, but Apple's not paying those prices right now.
Right now. But when would you forecast this coming out? Because if it's this year, I think it could be pulled off
maybe
early next year, like spring of next year. But I think if you push it off too much further, then
I'm thinking the earliest might be spring next year. I mean, I honestly think that would be the earliest for two reasons. We haven't seen, and they listen, we don't have a cadence to go by on their chip releases because they're their chips and they kind of do stuff weird now anyway. So they could totally skip the M5 Studio and Mac Mini and just, here comes October and we're releasing the M6. They can absolutely do that. I would think that we would possibly see this next springish, though. I don't think we would see it this fall. And again, even if it were pushed back later, I think they will want to get this out no later than next spring, though, because they want it to be available for buying season. If they're going to try to do the MacBook Neo is the thing that you can touch. Right. Because, and part of my reasoning for this is not just because I'm trying to be contrary to what Gurman and everybody seems to think Apple's going to do with a high-end MacBook Pro that's going to be stupidly expensive. But I look at the Neo, and the more I continue to think about the Neo and look at what the Neo has done to the industry and where Apple is pushing this, and they're not going to compete with Chromebooks in a sense when it comes to education. But Apple has always had big success. They've had a good amount of success, I think more than people will give them credit for, with the iPad in schools, right? And I mean, my kids both have iPads. My son has to leave his at school. My daughter gets to bring hers home, but she's also responsible for making sure it's charged up for the next day's schoolwork, et cetera, et cetera. If she breaks it, it's going to cost me a terrible amount of money to replace it or fix it. So there's that. But both my kids have iPads, and we're in, the county of, we're in Tuscaloosa County in Alabama. Like, it's not the biggest, area. We're not in Birmingham. We're not in Atlanta. We're in LA. We're not in a big, rich school district. So I look at the Neo and I think about, Apple could go high end with this, but then you only have a handful of people that are going to buy that computer. Like, much fewer people are going to buy that computer. Much fewer people are buying the computers that me and you prefer to use now anyway, compared to the MacBook Air. So there's that. You're cutting the market. The other thing I'd look at, though, is Apple has numbers. Apple has usage figures. They have information that tells them how many people use iPads, how many children, how many young people are using iPads, how many people are comfortable with the iPad, right? And again, we're not making an iPad, we're making a Mac. But I think the first step, the Neo could be the first step into trying to bring Mac OS to more people. Could also be the first step in them killing iPad OS. I'm just randomly throwing that out there as a potential thing that may happen. I don't know how much I actually believe that, but I do believe that Neo is a step to get more people on Mac OS. And if they were to build this device where, it's a touchscreen, you have a keyboard with the trackpad, all the stuff that Apple's great at, and you can detach your screen and use it standalone, or you can connect it to the keyboard and close it up like a laptop and go on about your business, and it's all running Mac OS. I could see them wanting to push that into schools, right? You got Neos in schools now. The next step will be, okay, well, let's make the kids even more comfortable. And now you can write on your notes. So if you're more comfortable with, if little Shelly's more comfortable writing or drawing, and Mary is more comfortable typing, well, then, hey, the kids can do what they want to do, and we all still have a full operating system to do things, which basically in school means to run Google Chrome. And that's about it for the most part. Probably run their creative apps, because Apple really wants people to use those. And I can see them pushing those, but primarily here's a tablet that's going to run Google Chrome, and you can attach a keyboard to it, but it's running Mac OS. So you'll get the full real Google Chrome, not the fake iOS Google Chrome. Because that's what it is. You won't get Safari dressed up to look like Chrome, which is basically what you're getting on iOS and iPad OS. So I think that could be a path, and it will be part of it is because I truly believe they're trying to do something more with that Neo and where they priced that at, and maybe they couldn't get this down to $600 or $700, but maybe they could. I don't think at this point that Apple is as affected by RAM prices and hard drive prices, component prices in general, because of how they lock down their deals so much in advance. And even when they do have to start dealing with the crunch and their price rise, I still feel like, Apple is in a better position than a lot of companies to negotiate a better price. Like, they're not going to ever pay market price for RAM. They're not going to pay what, say, and I'm not picking on Dell, but I'm just using Dell as an example because it's the first one popped in my head. They're not going to pay Dell's prices. Because if Apple's coming to you to buy RAM, they're not just buying RAM for their laptops, which is what Dell is doing. That's why I kind of picked the computer company. Dell is only buying RAM for their computers. Their desktops, their laptops, but they're only buying RAM for computers. Apple comes to buy RAM. They're buying RAM for their line of computers, laptops, desktops. They're buying RAM for their tablets. They're buying RAM for their phones. They're buying RAM for every damn thing. They're going to negotiate, and they're going to tell you, hey, give us this price, and we're going to spend money with you for the next 4 years at this price, right? Are we good? We're good. Okay, cool. And here's all your money up front. We're not going to do a quarterly payout to you. Here's all $2 billion of what you need right now. We're just going to write you a check. Have at it. Have fun.
So let me hit send. Sorry, I got distracted on Mastodon while you were talking. Don't take it personally. But we can talk about stuff that's been announced at WWDC. I feel like I'm not going to go talk about things that maybe haven't been announced. And if Mac Rumors says it, like this one article here that says you can finally add the remote to your home screen, that's a little thing, but I always forget where to find the remote, and then I remember, oh yeah, it's in Control Center. There's another feature that came out that was announced in iOS 27, and my mind instantly went to what Steven Robes, how do you say his last name?
Robles?
Yeah. Yeah. So to what he used it for. And let me read this post to you because I think you'll understand. Well, first, let me tell you what the feature is and then we'll read it. So the feature is that you can have Apple watch a Safari tab for you. So Apple Intelligence watches a Safari tab for you. And then if something happens on that tab, it will instantly let you know. What's the first thing you think of then? Why would you use this?
Either I want to know when something is back in stock, or I want to know when something goes on sale.
And what's that something?
Man, I don't know. Could be.
Okay, so my mind went to, I want to know when Ubiquiti equipment is back in stock because it sells out so much. So the post says, iOS 27 Safari Notify feature worked like a charm. Got my notification when the Unify travel router was back in stock. And that was from Steven. I'm like, yep, that's what I would have used it for.
Man, everybody's trying to buy that travel router.
Yeah. Do you have one?
I got one sitting in the bed, and I'm thinking I'm probably not going to end up using this anymore.
Sell it on eBay
for $1,000.
Maybe.
No. No.
No, I don't want to do a software update right now.
They ain't that hard to get. They go in and out of stock fairly routinely because I still have I still for a while had my change detector watching it. I would get notified, oh, it's back in stock. And I was like, oh, cool. And then, oh, it's now out of stock. Oh, okay. That was quick. But yeah, when I first heard about that feature, that is kind of where my brain went, was like, oh, well, this would be a great way for me to find out when something's in stock, probably Ubiquiti stuff.
Yep.
Or when something on Amazon goes on sale that I'm looking to buy.
That too. Yeah, that too. Oh man, that'll be nice. Mallory would be like, can we buy this? I'll be like, why don't you wait until it's on sale? Sorry, I got a loud notification in my headphones. Turn this down. What?
You got a notification in your headphones, and I touched my iPhone, and got Siri, voiceover yelling at me about, you have connected devices. Please unlock your iPhone to use accessories. It's like, I'm just trying to charge my phone. Like, just shut up. Yeah, I still have not watched the keynote. I have listened to, well, I would say probably just about every podcast I've listened to has discussed what happened at WWDC. What are your feelings on the features that they announced?
My initial impressions of WWDC 26 was, this looks a lot like 2024, except for it's a little bit more tame. There isn't a lot of promises made. I mean, there were suggestions made, but to me, I don't know. I went into it hoping for a bit, not expecting a lot, and came out of it a little underwhelmed. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you have for us this year? I don't know how that's going to work. And I want to be shocked. I think we're actually going to get some of the stuff that some of us have wanted since 2024. But I also wonder, Apple, is it too late? And the only reason I say that is OpenAI is talking about, there's rumor of OpenAI. They're not talking about it, I don't think, but there's rumor of OpenAI releasing a different form factor device that you might interact with your voice or by taking actions. And if that works as smoothly as some of the new tools that we're using, hold on. I was trying not to sneeze. Anyways, if that works as some of the tools that we are using, like Claude, I'm thinking, for example, I can do a lot of things with Claude, and I've been playing with Claude Cowork. We meant to talk about it last week. I needed to go to a website and order some things on the website that just I could have done, but it was going to take me forever. So I told Claude Cowork to go do it, and it did it. And it wasn't like, it didn't take as long. It got it done. So if OpenAI or Anthropic can release some new hardware device that works like a phone and does what the iPhone does, I don't know. I think Apple needs to push, and they are sticking with the on device, and everything is on your device and private, and that's great. Except for, is it preventing them from moving fast? So
I'm going to say, wait a minute, I think I'm muted. Am I muted?
No, you're not.
Yes.
I hear you.
Yes, so. No, I'm not. Okay. I am going to say that OpenAI can release whatever they want to release. And at this point, I don't think it's going to make a difference. And the reason I say that is because you don't have a phone. You don't have the apps that people have on their phones. Claude Cowork is cool. GPT's thing is cool on the Mac, probably on Windows, because it can access the apps that you use. It can go do the thing that you want it to do. And you're not having to yell at it. Like, nobody wants to talk to their stuff all the time.
Well, I will push back a little bit and say, all right, then leave and come back.
No, just go to work. Is that going to break the audio file?
No, because I have you on audio hijack, and Zoom will just make a secondary file because you're coming in as the same person.
So you got smart. You started doing the Zoom,
the multi-track,
the audio hijack thing the way that I was doing it.
Yep. That too. Although I wonder if the delay's still there.
I don't know. Is it?
You just said, is it? Well, I mean, how do you tell if a delay is in a
Okay.
So,
can you hear me say that Claude is
yes,
crappy?
I can hear you say that Claude is crap.
Okay. All right. So the delay is now gone.
Yeah. So I could push back with you and say
focus
that the Motorola Razr came out in the early 2000s, and all people used their Motorola Razr for was to text and make phone calls. And then other devices came out, and people said, well, people aren't going to always want to hold their phone in their hand all the time. And now look at us every day. We just hold our hands or our phones. I almost said we hold our hands in our phones. That'd be a little weird. Not quite yet there. But we hold our phones in our hands. So who's to say that the whole landscape of apps isn't going to be re-architected so you can interact with your voice, or that Elon doesn't get his way and everyone has brain implants, so you just think about what you want.
Yeah, so we're not doing that. First off,
yep, delay's gone.
That ain't happening. So I don't disagree that we're at some point going to move beyond the phone. I don't think in the amount of time that they have had to work on it, as well as work on all the other things that they have been working on, that OpenAI or any other LLM company has conquered that thing yet. And the reason I say that is because I'm still going to go back to, there are several things that I think are that are issues that you have to surpass in order to move to the next thing. First, there's apps, right? Some things you can duplicate what the apps do. Some things you can connect to their API or go to the web and do all these things, right? But there's going to be pushback in the industry from that. Like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, Amazon don't want OpenAI to just have their agent do stuff and not actually have the customer interface with their app or their website. That's not what they want. Amazon doesn't make advertising dollars off you doing that. Uber doesn't make advertising money off you. They just become a commodity, and neither one of those companies is going to want to be commoditized in that way. So you're going to get pushback from the industry as well as you're going to get pushback from users, because you're going to have people, well, I can't do this thing, or how do I do that? And again, I don't think everybody wants to talk to their stuff all the time. I'm not saying people don't want to talk to their stuff, but there's a reason that voice mode came very late to GPT and Claude versus it being the way that they shoved it out there first, because people don't want to talk to their stuff all the time. There are situations where you cannot talk to your device, but you still need to do a thing. I can pull out my phone and bring up Siri without saying the words or holding down the side button and speaking out loud. I just go find wherever the hell I hid, type to Siri, and type my thing and get my answer back or get the action taken. Again, I don't think that we're never, ever going to move past phones. I can absolutely see that. But also feel like this, and again, I don't think that OpenAI has conquered this in that short of amount of time, because there are two things you need. So let's go back to our analogy, our project, our product that we were talking about that we would like to see exist in the world. And I said then in that conversation, a person should have an option. It should be modular. A person should have an option to interface with their personal agent, their personal assistant, however they want, whether that be glasses, whether that be a earpiece, a wristband, because ultimately you're going to have a device on you that is providing the compute. I'm going to say never. We're a long way away from getting the amount of compute you need in a device for local to work. And speaking of local, so Apple's leaning very heavily into local for a couple of reasons. And on another note, Microsoft and Google are also doing this. So it's not a non-starting thing that you need to do. Google approached it differently, and Microsoft's not sure what they're doing. But Google approached it differently, and they started in the cloud because they're a cloud-first company. But their local models that they have now are very small, and they figured out how to make them very good and very small. They're still not on the same par with what you can do in the cloud, but we don't have the compute for that at this point. But both Google and Apple are doing local because sometimes it matters the speed in which you get an answer or you start to get an answer. Apple is pushing stuff out to the cloud. They're pushing a lot more out to the cloud. They're doing their private compute thing so that they can say, we have no idea what this person asked the LLM and what the LLM told them back. That's a part of their ethos as a company. That's kind of their stance, and they have to continue to toe that line as best they possibly can. Because they pushed on that for a decade and a half at this point. Like, that's been a part of their marketing. So they got to do that. But the other reason that it makes logical sense is, let's say you have a query for the model, for the assistant, whether it's Siri AI or it's, Google on an Android device. Sometimes the model can answer locally without having to go to the cloud. Sometimes that answer may need to go to the cloud. You need something locally that can very quickly respond to say, oh, this query needs to go to the cloud, and then direct that where it needs to go. But you need a local model that can handle that, because you don't want to wait for your think about years ago when Siri was super, super slow, and like your phone wasn't a crappy phone. It's just Siri was really slow to respond because everything was going out to the cloud. I remember a time when people were complaining, like, even just to play a song or pause music or something like that, it takes forever because they're sending all those requests to the cloud and coming back, versus how voice, what was it called? Because I don't have that feature anymore, but it used to be a feature, voice activation or whatever it was called.
Voice access?
I don't know if that's what it was called or not, but you could tell your phone to do certain things, and this was before Siri, and it would do certain things like, open music or, play a song, and it would just do that based off a database of information that was locally stored on your phone. That was quick. That happened almost instantly. So you still need local models for that. Another reason to continue pushing on local models, I think, besides of having that local orchestrator that determines, hey, can I hand this off to my local guy, or do I need to make a long distance call? Like, what do I need to do here? What's going to be the best pathway for the person asking, for what this person has asked me to do. I think you need that, but also feel like you're going to need a lot of these companies, and OpenAI and Anthropic are running up against this right now. Google probably not so much. I think Google's not running into it in the way that OpenAI and Anthropic are with Claude, with ChatGPT and with Claude, because Google is and has been for 30 years a infrastructure company. They've been a cloud company. So they have more infrastructure. OpenAI and Anthropic have to rent their cloud resources from somewhere. So another reason for people pushing on local, and you can see Microsoft, this is one of the reasons Microsoft is trying to push more local models onto their Windows computers. Even though they're like, you can talk to it anywhere. It'll be in the cloud. It can do, but they're really trying to push locally and have as much or not as much, but a lot of the basic things or even the routing of the requests be handled locally, because you're going to eventually run into walls with compute. Everybody's building data centers, but they're not getting built. Part of that is because some people are just talking out their ass and saying they're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. But there's also a shortage of workers. Like, we don't have as many construction workers as we once did in this country. So there's not a lot of data centers data centers being built as rapidly as some people probably would have them built, because there's a shortage of workers. You're getting pushback from communities like, I don't want your gas powered crap near my house. We don't want this. So there's a lot of pushback there as well. But again, having something local helps. Like it can help tremendously, if nothing else, in just routing your request to the right place at the right time. And making that process smoother instead of round tripping everything through the cloud. Right now, if I'm on a terrible internet connection, I still should be able to get some basic things done that a local model can handle. Versus, oh, I just want you to send an email to Mike and then make a reminder to remind me to follow up with Mike about that thing in 2 days to see if we, if we're good. Like, all of that probably can be done locally on Apple stuff. All of that could be done locally on Google, on a Pixel. I shouldn't have to go to the cloud for that. They don't want you going to the cloud for that because it's costing them money.
Right.
So it's not that I don't think OpenAI has a device that they're going to come out with, but I think you're going to be very hard pressed to get a person past their phone. I mean, look at the as good as me and you know the Pixel to be as a phone. Look at the difficulty that people have, and not just me and you, which there's a little bit of that with me and you too, but the difficulty that people have from moving from one platform to another.
When do you think we'll have enough to do on device and not have to go out to the internet? I'd like to say by 2030 myself.
I would like to hope that. I would say for people like me and you, that might be possible by 2030, because we would probably at that point be able to buy a decently powerful enough computer that we could use as a home server and have good enough local models that we could run all of that stuff and using, Tailscale or a similar, kind of tunneling technology as to what Claude and GPT are using to let you tunnel back from your phone back to your computer, to be able to have those interactions away from your home network. I think that will be in a good space in 2029, 2030.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think for you to pull your phone out and be able to roughly accomplish task-wise what you could possibly do with something like Claude Cowork on your Mac today, we might be further away from that being on a mobile device. Laptop, sure. The desktop, sure. Mobile device and just available, and this is what Apple is pushing, or this is what Google is pushing, or hell, this is what OpenAI is pushing, right? I mean, they listen, Johnny Ive could have just created a new phone, right? He just built an Android phone, and its primary interface, there are no apps except for the apps that have to exist. Because at some point you're going to need to look up somebody's number. You're like that. I still feel like those rough edges are going to be there, but Johnny could have just made an Android phone. And it's not running Google's Android. They started from open source Android, and he has made a thing. It is going to be great. And I could be 100% wrong. I, again, don't discount that we're going to move past a phone at some point, because I feel like it's logically that we have to, right? First off, I'm tired of a phone. I'm seriously kind of tired of my phone.
Yeah.
But there are things about it that irritate me when I have to do it. Like I gotta pull out my phone to do this thing. Why can't I just say what I want to happen and make that happen? But I don't see OpenAI being there yet, because we don't have the power locally to do it. And you're going to tell me I got to buy a device and put a data plan on it, and I better have unlimited data, like really high capped unlimited data, so that I can constantly be talking to the cloud all day whenever I want to do stuff. I don't necessarily see it happening yet. And again, I don't see the natural everyday things that we don't think about as much anymore allowing themselves. I don't see companies allowing themselves to become commoditized. Because if you have an agent device, like what OpenAI is rumored to be working on, you're not going to say, get me an Uber. You're going to say, I need to ride to the airport tomorrow, and I need to be at the airport by 5:30. Now, ideally, what the agent is going to do is kind of like it would do right now. If I go type into Chat GPT, I did this earlier. I need to go see what it found. I'm looking for a safe. I needed to be these dimensions and I needed to be this level of security. And it must absolutely have a physical keypad. Now, it's not going to care if it finds it on Amazon, if it finds it at some Costco, or if it finds it at some retailer, like you have to go to Lowe's or you have to go to Tractor Supply to get this. It doesn't care. Its job, and its only job as it sees it, is to find me what I'm looking for and then give me my answer. Well, if you have an agent device, like what they're kind of supposed to be building, where you're going to just interface with it, by voice, that means that those sorts of interactions have to be possible, right? I need to be able to look for a thing that I want to buy and then go buy that thing. Amazon is not going to, I'm telling you right now, Amazon ain't sitting still for just becoming a commodity where like, oh, well, maybe you'll get to sell, maybe you won't. I mean, listen, they block people from using the browsers, to the agentic browsers to browse their site because, well, the customer's not really browsing the site. The computer's browsing the site. We don't like that. By the way, here's Rufus. Right? No, they're not going to sit still for that, dude.
No.
Neither is Uber. Like, Uber's not going to sit still for like, oh, you may or may not get this. Like, because I don't care. I personally really don't care. My instructions to my agent would be, I need to go to the airport tomorrow. And I need to be there at 5 a.m. because my flight leaves at 6:30. Get me the cheapest way there.
Yep.
Man, Uber ain't sitting still for that shit. Oh, well, we're just a commodity. You're just connected to our database now. Like, oh, you're just going to, what is your price? Well, what is Lyft's price? Well, what if I call this person that I know about that gives people rides in Tuscaloosa? Okay, well, Lyft is cheaper, so Uber, you missed out. Man, Uber will lose their shit.
Yeah, it's going to be...
That's the uphill battle I feel like we have to fight. I do think we can get there. But I think a part of it is going to a part of that first step of getting there is, number one, there needs to be something local that can handle a lot of these requests and direct traffic. Kind of like the way people are using these agents, like you got multiple agents running, but you got this kind of manager agent that's checking in and making sure all the other agents are doing what they're doing. Like, I haven't gotten to that level of using Cloud Code, probably because I'm not paying for a Mac subscription for one thing. But I haven't gotten to that level. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Where people got agents running all over the place, where agents are checking on the agents.
Yep.
Like, that's what you need local compute for, is to start that and manage that. Because sometimes, it needs to go to the cloud. Sometimes it can be done locally. Sometimes it's going to be a hybrid of things. Me as the user shouldn't care about any of that. The average person in the world absolutely doesn't even want to care about it. Like, they don't want to know how it works. They just want it to work. It has to work. But in order for that to happen, we need good local compute. And we are still going to have to figure out, how do I call an Uber? Or how do I get that ride to the airport? If I got to start by saying, hey, agent, see how much Uber is charging for rides to the airport. Now, see how much Lyft is charging. Nope, I'm done. Book me the Uber. Well, Uber needs you to authenticate. They're going to send you a text message. Wait, how are they going to send me a text? Do I have a phone number? How am I calling people? Hey, agent, call Michael Babcock.
I'm
Would
sorry,
you like
I
me to
can't
call
do
Michael?
That. You don't sound like Damashe today, so I can't verify your voice.
Would you like me to call Michael's phone, or Michael on WhatsApp, or FaceTime?
Or the weird number he called you from
yesterday? Or
this weird
number that might be Michael Babcock that he called from last week.
Right.
Man, I don't know. Just get the dude on the goddamn phone.
Just call him.
Again, not that we can't get there, but I just feel that I feel like some companies continuously keep going down the same path. And for some reason, these devices don't work. And it's just because they don't do everything you need them to do. I want to come back and revisit this conversation too, once you've had an opportunity to play with the Plod pen that I sent you. And for all the potential, and that's the thing, right? And that's why I feel like the stock market is so out of whack and all of this stuff, is because of the potential of what that device itself was supposed to do versus how it actually functioned in the real world for me. Like, I mean, it's been on my nightstand for months. When did I buy that thing? January?
At least, yeah. It might have been like November.
No,
but
no. I'll take that back. It was last year because they
Yeah,
released
it was
the new
sometime
clause.
last year.
Yeah, they released it. Yeah, so it was like January, February or something last year. It was shortly after we bought the B, and then the B got bought by Amazon. And it was like, oh, well, we'll try this thing. Yeah, it's sat and stagnant and not being used for over a year, mostly because it and not that it doesn't work at all. You know, and I appreciate Steven's experience that he had with his, you know, version, and it can work, but it just wasn't reliable enough, consistent enough in what it was able to pick up and when it was supposed to be doing what I needed it to do.
It's yet another thing. So,
hey, agent, I need a ride to the airport. I've got you a ride to the Atlanta airport. Wait a minute, bitch, I'm in Birmingham. What are you doing?
And on that note, we should probably wrap it up.
You're absolutely right. I completely booked you a ride to the wrong place. Let me see if I can cancel that. Unfortunately, Lyft is not allowing people to cancel rides at the moment. So it looks like you're going to Atlanta. Wait a minute. But my flight. Well, I can call you another ride to go to Birmingham, but you're still going to have to pay for the one to Atlanta. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Mike. We should wrap this up.
Hey, they did say that when you call the airlines now, Siri can surface your airline reservation, which sounds kind of little, but that's actually also kind of cool.
That is going to be super useful if it works.
Yeah, if it works. Or when I walk into the hotel room, not room, but the hotel, surface the reservation in my mail.
Oh man, they were supposed to do that with Wallet.
Yeah.
But listen, so I mean, I guess to be fair, that does actually work. When I show up at the airport, if I put my pass and wallet,
it takes over your phone. You know it's there.
Here's my one caveat. I do believe they can get that to work. My question and my concern, and again, I'm willing to give this a couple of years. I'm willing to give this to WWDC next year. Because we may not get it this year, because I kind of somewhat understand how Apple operates sometimes when they introduce features. They get to do a thing first, and then in the following year, everybody else can get it too. And it's usually because they're probably changing a bunch of crap on the back end during this first year as they figure out what did and didn't work the right way. And then the following year, hey, the APIs are all settled, everything is stable. Now third-party developers can hook into this. So I kind of see why they do it. It's kind of like when you're on a beta for an app and a guy decides, oh, I'm going to change my database from version 11 to version 12, which I don't know why we have 12 different versions of the database anyway. But you don't need the regular public using this app yet, but that's why it's in beta. Because Mike's ironing out the bugs. Now, when he releases it, I doubt there will be database migrations like this happening. But
there better not be.
But my thing is like, okay, how long, if at all, will it be before you can surface my plane reservation or my hotel reservation that's in the Gmail app? Because that's where I'm signed into my work account. Or what if you're one of those people who, you know, doesn't use Apple Mail, you use Outlook on your phone.
Right.
Because you think that's cool or something. I don't know. Or you just like your signature to say, set for Outlook for iPhone. You know.
By the way, if that's people. You know you can go change your signature in mail, right?
I wasn't going to say it. I thought it. I absolutely thought it, but I was like, I'm not going to say that. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. Because I didn't want to say it.
Just in case.
Yeah, you can. You could also change that set for my iPhone, which I'm saying that I should go do that for one of my accounts because it still says set for my iPhone.
Yeah. Mine still does too. I'm just too lazy to go change it.
I don't send that much email from my iPhone either. So, I
send a lot of email from my iPhone.
It's actually kind of okay because then it lets people know why my message mail been kind of brusque and short because I send it from my iPhone. So you asked me an elaborate question. I'm like, sure.
Sent from my iPhone. See, some people say that's advertising for Apple. For me, that's just an explanation.
I mean, so, okay. All right, advertising person. I'll change it to sent from my mobile device.
Yeah.
How about that? Now who am I?
I like sent from my iPhone better.
Yeah. Sad. Uh, yeah, but no, I do like those features. They have a lot of stuff coming. I think we'll get it. We are going to wrap this up. I know I hear you saying, you just said you were going to wrap it up 5 minutes ago. Uh, Here's why I think Apple, I will sum it up just to say this. I feel that Apple could be too late, but I don't think they ultimately will be. If everything that they showed off this year, which from what I hear, they seem to have been doing those when it was recorded live. So like they didn't cut anything. It's like he made a query to the agent or to Siri AI, and then he had to wait for however long he had to wait to get the answer. And we all watching it had to sit and wait for as long as it took for him to get the answer. If they and I listened to the Vergecast, and Eli was in Cupertino, so he's like walking around after the event, like they got a lot more, talking from Apple employees about the stuff, and he's like, they really want to show you that it was real. Like, hey, yep, it does work. You want me to show you again? Right here, I can show you right now. Like they really want to show people to like, hey, this stuff does actually work. Like it's real. We didn't just make it up and hope we would be able to do it. If they're able to do it and they ship things in a reasonable amount of time, because I don't think we're going to get all of it day one, but that's become standard for iOS during the year. But if we get it and it's not like, oh, well, this has been pushed back to, 0.5 of 27 point, like as long as we don't get that kind of crap going on, I think they will be reasonably okay if they also continue to make progress going forward, because they will have introduced features and capability using AI that there are going to be a lot of people that won't realize they're using AI if they don't shove it in your face. Hey, this is Siri AI that did this. Like, no, they're just going to use your phone. They're going to find out they can do a thing. They're like, oh, AI can be useful. Because, I turned it on and it does a thing. And I was like, hey, can you remind me of what Mike said in his message about some book that I should read or something? And it pulls that up. Hey, this works.
Yeah. It's all about those experiences. And if they can make them smooth, then like shortcuts, you can go into shortcuts and tell it what you want it to do. I will not share my experiences with that, but you can do it.
That is, I am looking forward to that because of my expectation, unlike what Federico built, which I appreciated. And as he said, hopefully he will be Sherlocked. I hope he was Sherlocked, and I hope it's on a level where, hey, you know what apps I have to donate stuff to shortcuts. So you should be able to build the shortcut I want with the apps that are available for those features and not tell me, oh, I did a thing. And then it doesn't work because you don't know about Toolbox Pro.
Ooh, I need to go listen to that show because I wonder how that was.
But,
Connected.
Yeah, Connected. People should listen to it. It's a good show.
Yeah. But on that note, this has been a good discussion. What?
It's been an amazing discussion.
Always is.
Tell a friend. You should. It's always an amazing discussion. You should absolutely tell a friend and tell people that we always have amazing shows. Our shows are always great.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. You can get in touch with us by email by sending an email to feedback@technicallyworking.show. You can also send your beta feedback for Mike there. It is interesting seeing what people have to say. And not in a weird, it's just like, hey, like I didn't think about that, or I didn't encounter that, or that's a different way of maybe, or that's a feature I didn't think about. Hey, that's cool. So no, it really is interesting to see what people have to say. So send your feedback if you're testing the app. I suppose you could probably also send feedback. Send an email to feedback@technicallyworking.show if you want on the test flight, because you may not be on Mastodon. But speaking of, if you wanted to reach Michael on Mastodon to say, hey, man, can I get on the beta of Earshot? Or you want to be like, hey, Mike, I made an icon for you, whatever. He's Payon, PAYOWN @dragonscave.space. I am Damashe. You can just tell me, hey, I pinged Mike to tell him I want to get on the beta. DAMASHE @technically.social. And you can follow our bot, who, as soon as stuff stops happening, will probably actually start working again. Damashe took a long vacation, but
It'll come
maybe
back, and then it'll be our turn to take a vacation.
maybe probably not. Maybe Mike will use his Hermes to crank the bot up sooner, because I don't have a problem.
Yeah,
with
I have
that
some
happening.
ideas. I was talking to some people about some ideas about the bot, and they know who they are. And I told you it could be real. So we'll see. TW at
technically.social and hashtag technically working. And hashtag Damashe was right, because they absolutely merged all their OSs and made it a thing. They just decided that they didn't want to be cutesy with it and call it Core OS, which I thought would have made an excellent name, because it's Apple and this is the core of all of our stuff. But all right, they ain't got to do it. Whatever. They think they're funny. They're not. Thanks everybody for listening. This has been episode. Oh, hold on. Wait. Thanks to our tip jar supporters. Truly appreciate all of you for being willing to share some of your limited or massive amount of funds with us. However that works out for you, we appreciate what you're spending with us. And just to remind people, you can go find out about the tip jar by going to technicallyworking.show, click on support us, and you can do a subscription or a one-time tip. So it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant, you tip the waiter, or you tip the server. There we go. We're not using those words, I don't think, anymore. Anyhow, we're getting out of here before I say anything else stupid. Mike, this has been episode
number 167.